All right, so guys, let's implement our web security now. But first, let's implement a course configuration file first. So the essence of this is so that we'll be able to handle course error in case of course error. All right, because you notice that the backend is running on port 3030 and the front end is running on 2020. So it's going to cause an issue if we do not handle course, all right, in our backend. So that's what we are going to do now. So let's create a course config. Say course config. So it is going to implement a web MVC configurer. Let's say implement web MVC configurer like this. All right, so now let's override the add course mapping method. So we're going to say @override public void add course mappings. Sorry, add course mappings like this. So it's going to take an argument of course registry. I'm going to say course registry. Yeah, course registry. Let's say registry. Now I want to say a registry.add mapping. All right. So we are mapping the backend. Remember, the backend is running on let's say HTTP. It's running on HTTP localhost. Localhost 3030 /API/. All right, so let's just say /API/all. All right, we are allowing every other endpoint after API. All right, so the next thing we'll say allowed origin. So the allowed origin is just the front end. So the front end is running on HTTP // localhost 2020 like this. All right, so that's the front end URL. So now we want to, the methods we are going to allow, mainly the method we are dealing with here are post method, get, put, delete, and options. All right, so those are the ones that we should just allow. So let's say allowed methods. So the first one is get. Then we have the post method. Then we have put. We have delete, and then the last one is options. All right. Now the headers, let's just allow all headers. Let's say .allow headers. All right, so we're going to allow all headers. Then we are going to say .exposed headers, which will be the authorization. Sorry, let's say .exposed headers. So we are going to have authorization here. Authorization like this. All right. Then let's say .allowed credential. We are going to say false. So specify false here. All right, that's all for our course configuration. So now let's go implement our web security config now. So we are going to annotate this with attribute configuration, and then we are going to say attribute enable web security. So I think that's what we need. So we are going to say we're going to create this bin. So attribute bin public security filter chain. This security filter chain. Yeah, security filter chain. So security filter chain. So it is going to take an argument of HTTP security. Okay, HTTP security, and security filter. All right, so we're going to say return http security dot course. So let's disable course first. csrf course dot disable dot. So we are going to say authorization request. So let's specify the authorize http request. So let's say auth. All right, so this is where you specify your endpoints, right? So all our endpoints are going to be starting with API slash v1. So the first endpoint that we have is the endpoint to create a user, and we are going to be making this endpoint public. That is, it is accessible without authentication. Also, the endpoint for logging into the application should also be public, right? So you should be able to access the application without authentication, like logging in. You shouldn't request a token initially when you are logging in. It's after you have logged in that you will now be required to have a token to make subsequent requests to the application. So we'll make this one public. Then any other request should be authenticated. Should be authenticated. Nice. So we are going to specify the session management. So we are going to say session. Yes, session. Then we are going to say session dot session creation policy. So we are going to make it stateless. All right. So session policy dot stateless dot add filter. Dot add filter before. So we are going to add our security filter. So we're going to use this username password here dot class like this. So dot headers dot frame options. So we're going to say frame. I'm going to say frame, then frame dot disable. All right, so dot build. All right, I think that's all we need to do. That's it. So we are going to create a bin for our authentication manager. So we use the authentication manager in the user service when we are logging into the application. So we need to create or initialize a bin for it to work properly. If not, it's going to throw an error. So we can say public authentication manager. So it is going to take an argument of authentication configuration. Authentication configuration. Okay, yeah, this is it. Auth configuration. So we are going to return authentication. All right, authentication configuration dot get authentication manager. Okay, so let's add the exception to the method signature. Also, let's also create a bin for our password. So the next thing is for us to create a bin for our password encoder. We are going to say @bin public password encoder. So we are going to return new I think yes, bcrypt password encoder. So that's what we're returning. All right. So this is all for the web security config. So for now, we are still going to make some modifications to this particular configuration, or add other configuration details to this.